Now, I'd like to show you a little video, and you need to know that as you watch this, each dot represents 1 million people. Craig, if you're running this, could you get that started now, please? When I was first made aware of this population problem, I was a second-year medical student at St John's, Cambridge, in England. I attended an evening lecture by my then tutor, Colin Bertram, and it was on human population increase and the future sustainability of the whole planet. He argued, as a biologist, that relentless population increase by any species is always ultimately unsustainable. Numbers increase the limits of the carrying capacity of their environment, and when they overshoot, their numbers will always collapse. We humans were on track to do exactly that. And I think that video suggests that we're getting close to a point of impossibility. My take on the DVD we've just seen is what a fantastic job the medical profession did in the 19th and 20th centuries in death control. But after Dr. Bertram's lecture, the doctor, I felt responsibility that we might have made things worse, not better, in the long run, by not majoring earlier in the last 200 years on the issue of contraception to maintain population balance. Therefore, I made a decision all that time ago as a medical student that there could be no more appropriate medical specialty for me to practice in if I was worried about the future of the planet and the environment than family planning. And I got higher training, therefore, in both gynecology and surgery, so that I could go to issues around devices and sterilizations for women, and vasectomy and research in the male field for men. Next slide, please. So everyone has a footprint. Now, if you multiply all the people on that DVD clip by the environmental footprint each one has, you have an extra problem. Basically, a huge city, 1.5 million people, has had to be built somewhere, and the same again by next Friday, every single week. Every single week. How unsustainable is that? But actually it gets worse. Just think of the environmental impact of a new city every week. Anywhere, any city, eats into the surrounding countryside and destroys the habitats of other species. Its inhabitants also burn fossil fuel, and that must worsen climate change. Think of it, 1.5 million people's worth of carbon dioxide every week. Next slide, please. Sorry, stay on that one. Is that not obvious? An absent human has no footprint. We humans, whether we're rich or poor, we have a footprint on the planet, and one less person will always be beneficial in terms of less habitat destruction and consumption of resources. Can we move on to slide 17? Slide 17, history. This one shows the Guillebaud finch from North Australia, an endangered species. There are only a few hundred left in the wild. Top right, you've got a giant otter. And bottom right, you've got a frog. Next slide. There are 27 species of tree frog. What does it matter? Are you bothered? It won't endanger our livelihood if they disappear, but they're beautiful creatures and they deserve their environmental niche. And it's an absolute tragedy that the sixth great extinction of other species is in process right now, and we humans are the cause of it. Next slide. It's been calculated by people associated with the Global Footprint Network that wild species now comprise only 2 or 3% of all vertebrate flesh on the land. What that means is that if you had the possibility of doing it and put all human flesh, plus our cows, our pigs, our sheep, our goats, on one side of enormous balance, and then put all the wild species on land, the elephants, wildebeests, you name it, kangaroos, they would only be now 2 or at most 3% of vertebrate flesh. There has to be something wrong, something completely unsustainable about that situation. Next slide. Now if we move on to global warming, this is the thing that's finally got the environment on the mainstream agenda. I've been an environmentalist personally for the last 40 years, but most of the time one was marginalized, one was seen as not in the mainstream at all. And it is the global warming thing that has changed that. It would be bad enough if it were the only problem that mankind is now facing because of pollution. But actually, carbon dioxide is just one of about 30,000 pollutants that we humans throw at the planet, including PCBs and many other toxic products. Next slide. Global mean surface temperature has been rising. And out of the last 14 years, 12 have been warmer than any others since records began. Global warming is going to, is parallel, as you can see in this next slide, with the rise of carbon dioxide. And I think now practically every scientist is convinced that this is anthropogenic. Even if it isn't, it has to be us humans who bring the situation under control. Next slide, please. As it says here, the impacts are hard to predict or quantify, but it is the already poor who will suffer most. Let's talk a bit about poverty now. Even from the poverty and climate change point of view, family planning makes enormous sense. For a start, quite simply, there will be fewer people to suffer in the floods and the droughts and hurricanes that are predicted. But the poor cannot leave their poverty except through development, and that can only happen by increasing the per person use of energy. So if you look on to the next slide,